Hello, everyone. This is Frederick from Stretch to Win Institute at stretchtowin.com. And I'm excited to be here with one of my esteemed students, Susie Burkybile from Texas. And there she is waving. We're going to talk about LifeStretch today because, especially in this time of the coronavirus, keeping everyone homebound, at their desks a lot, working online, sitting, I think talking about LifeStretch on lots of different levels for yourself. And if you're a practitioner of any kind or a movement instructor for your class or for even one person, one client, I think it's very relevant, it's very timely, and it's something that we can offer people today. Welcome, Susie.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Could you just introduce yourself a little bit about sort of what you do and your background?
Sure. So I was a dancer from a very young age and pursued a college degree in dance and danced with a few professional companies, and eventually retired and left the dance world and was a personal trainer for a while. I also am a current yoga instructor. I've led yoga instructor trainings, and then I stumbled upon FST, and they had me at my first stretch. And I just immediately signed up, and my husband's also a fascial stretch therapist. And so we've been doing that. I've been doing that for 8 years now. And then most recently decided to go through massage school because I wanted to continue my career, because I've decided this is a lifelong journey for me. So I just graduated in December, and now that we're finally in quarantine, I have my massage license. So, but that's kind of to present. So.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing all that. So we're going to talk about LifeStretch today. I think I'll let you describe and tell our listeners what LifeStretch is, maybe a little bit about when you trained in it and what you've done with it so far with your clients, maybe with yourself, maybe with one person as a client, maybe with a class.
Sure. So when I did LifeStretch, my intent was to go and teach large group classes. I also just wanted to go because I love learning from Chris Nan and saw it as another opportunity to get to go to the Institute. But when I got back, I found that I was having a hard time finding space to teach group classes where I could just teach once a week. For some reason, I wasn't supposed to go that direction. So what ended up happening at the time, I had a portable table. So I was folding my table up and putting it in the corner of my small massage room. And I was holding 3 to 4 people group LifeStretch classes. And everybody was really enjoying it, but the clientele that I was working with specifically, they really craved the table work, the FST. So then I started using it more for homework or prep work. So if somebody came in for a stretch and they were extremely guarded, I have used that as a tool that you have talked about actually, Chris, to get people to relax and get their guard to come down so you can actually touch them.
Yeah.
And then it's a big homework. I have my clients pull out their phones and videotape me or videotape them doing the stretch. So up until quarantine, that's kind of how I had been using LifeStretch, and also as a self-care tool too, which I think is probably the number one reason why I love LifeStretch, is because it has helped me to take care of myself if I need to drop down and do the core 4. And it's also helped me create stretches for myself that if I'm having trouble with my forearms or shoulders, it allows me the creativity to find that for myself.
I think it'd be great if you can kind of define or describe LifeStretch. A lot of people think it's just like yoga or Pilates. I have that all the time. People say, oh, you do a stretch class. Is it like yoga? Is it like Pilates or whatever? What would be your answer to that? And then maybe a description of what it is that makes it different than also just sitting and holding a stretch for 30 seconds.
Sure. Well, number one, LifeStretch is a living, breathing technique. So yoga is more static. So I think if you're comparing the two, That's what I would say really differentiates those. And then LifeStretch doesn't limit the angles and the ranges of motion, and it doesn't limit the participants' perspectives to where they can go. So LifeStretch really gives people the permission and the freedom to find those new angles, and because every body's different, right? So you have to, it really allows you to explore your own body and to find those like little places that you need to get into to open up, versus with yoga, you're so focused on doing the pose like a certain way and having your alignment, you know, stack up and listening to all the cues, versus kind of bringing the what's the word I'm looking for? Giving the advocacy to the client or the participant to find that.
You make a really good point. I'd like to speak on that just for a minute about yoga as being, obviously it's been around for thousands of years in India, certainly, and then here more recent than that. And then it's morphed into all kinds of things, from a spiritual practice to things like power yoga, which is unlike anything the original yogis created, right? Because that was more about a spiritual practice along with the physical. They didn't divide the spiritual from the physical. And here it's very physical, and they're trying to put some spiritual into that sometimes. Some people, despite the popularity of yoga, you have Yoga Journal, magazines devoted to it, and a ton of people involved in it, and they love it. They love the yoga lifestyle. Kudos to people like that. But then I've had people say, do you have something besides yoga? I hate yoga. I actually have had people say, I hate yoga. So it's not like everybody loves it. It's great for those who love it, but honestly, I think we need an option for people who really don't. And LifeStretch seems to maybe be one solution that offers people something that constantly moves. There is no perfect form or position that you have to attain or be in for a short time, much less even a long time. And I love the way you characterize it as a living, breathing kind of thing where it's individualized to the person. When they come in, they're assessing themselves, and they work within their own limitations, and they're not comparing themselves to the person next to them if they're in a large group.
Sure. Well, with my dance background, I really latched on to improvisational dance because there were like a certain set of rules, but you were able to really go outside the box. And with things like ballet and even stricter forms of modern dance, there was a certain way that things were done. And so I feel like that's kind of like what yoga is. It's more exercise. Some forms of yoga are more exercise. Not that they can't be therapeutic, but I feel like LifeStretch has more of a therapeutic intention than necessarily yoga would be the way that we teach it.
So what kind of clients have you done this on, the LifeStretch class? Because we teach it as about an hour. Mm-hmm. And now there's so many variations. We can modify, we can shorten it, we can do it up with one person. Can you share with us and inspire us with how, you've done it so long, and you've written on our website forum for our Fascia Stretch Therapy members. You were very helpful with offering lots of advice and tips and all those kinds of things. Can you put it kind of in the 3 most important points maybe, or something like that, in terms of teaching it? First, sorry, my mind's going everywhere because I'm excited to talk about this. Why don't we just talk about how you have used it? Have you used it just on an elderly group versus a younger group versus an athletic group, I would say? And then maybe have you used it maybe just on one person even?
Sure. So I definitely use it in my private sessions. So whether that's after the session is done, their homework is given to them. And we started developing a YouTube library. So we just sent them the link and we're like, this is what we want you to do. But even with that, I wanted to touch on this too. It's so important to take the client through it at that point, because there's a brain connection that happens when they're doing it with you and they're following along and they're seeing you do it, and you're watching their body and you're giving cues to them that they're going to need to feel the stretch, or to focus on the goal of the motion that you're trying to get. So I definitely use it with private clients. So that means my age range is, it's wide. So I've done LifeStretch with 13-year-olds and as old as people into their 80s.
Wonderful.
And so there's lots of modifications that have to happen with each person. So I think if you are dealing with an elderly population, I have found it's good to keep the groups smaller. If you're trying to obtain specific goals, if you're trying to just, get them moving and feeling well. I've gone into a nursing home before with dementia clients and have taken them through movements. And so that was very different. It was just more about getting them moving and getting them breathing, because there would be like 10 of them, and a lot of them were not, some of them were not even ambulatory. So having to really cater to that and kind of be creative in the moment and finding things for them to do. So the range has been broad in terms of that, of the people that I work with.
You've done this live, right? Obviously before the coronavirus came out and everyone's sheltered.
Yes.
Since we've all been homebound, have you done online LifeStretch class?
Yes. So I have started a platform on NamaStream. I was looking at it for a while, and it's just been on the back burner because thankfully my practice has just gotten very busy with one-on-one sessions. And so I just kind of kept pushing it back. And when this whole thing happened, it presented kind of an opportunity in a way to connect with people that don't live here in Dallas. So I started filming classes, and I have to give my husband a lot of credit because he is the techno wizard out of us. So he helped get all of that set up, and we cleared out a space. And I probably have about 10 videos right now on my platform. And my goal is to film like about an hour of content per week. And I'm breaking that content up into like 10 or 20-minute chunks, because a lot of people that have children or families, or even people that don't have that, they don't have as much time as we think we all do, because you're working from home, you have your household you're running, and to take time for yourself is hard when you're in your home all the time. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but breaking it down into smaller chunks for people, like just do 10 minutes, do 5 minutes. We created a breath boost class that Travis actually filmed. It's like how to get somebody breathing just in 5 minutes, and how that he did a before and after with his neck. And it was amazing the impact that just breathing for 5 minutes had, and using a lot of the fascial stuff, even some pressure points that we've learned from other techniques. So I'm kind of fusing some lymphatic and LifeStretch and acupressure and even some energy work into my classes. So that's kind of currently what I'm up to.
I love it. I love using it as a template unto itself. It can be used just purely, let's say, out of the box, right? If you do our online training, you want to become a certified LifeStretch instructor, you get a ton of videos, right? And you get all the support, and you can plug and play, basically, and just do it. I love what you've done, because you've been doing this how long now with LifeStretch overall?
I think it was 2014, I think, that
Wow.
your first LifeStretch?
Yeah, so like 6 years.
That's about right, yeah.
You took our first one?
Uh-huh.
That's awesome.
We over at Z Health.
Oh, right. I remember. And so in 6 years, you've learned so much from what your clients actually want, what they need. And so I just love what you do, where you input other things like self-myofascial release or whatever. It's available, and it makes the class, it enhances the class. And that way you have lots of variety too. Once they get to know the routine, and you have, let's say, a regular group, if you have that situation going on, there's all kinds of things you can do to embellish it or enhance it or change it up a little bit. So I love all that.
Cool.
Yeah. So just to give a shameless pitch, we do have an online certification, like I said, of LifeStretch. We used to teach it live. We no longer teach it live. And so since we said that, people are like, what? Oh, no. And it's like, okay, yes, we have an online version of it. Ann and I recently went back into the studio, shot all new video, even if you are currently LifeStretch certified. It's all new video. We have a complete class. It's on YouTube that I put for free for anybody so they can just benefit from it. And so we really worked hard to put that together so that you can teach it even better. So it's even good if you're certified to get a hold of that. Anyway, we have a special deal right now, and go to stretchdoing.com or contact us there to ask about it if you're interested. Are there any other pieces of advice about LifeStretch you want to give, or any words of inspiration? Maybe a client. Can you think of anybody in particular, or a few people that something cool happened? Either in class, while you were in class, during when you were teaching live, or even online, someone said, this is opening this up, or I can breathe, or I can, whoa, whatever.
Yes, I had somebody come into my mind. It was when I was running my small sessions in my office, and they all start, you can tell they're skeptical when they walk in, because they're coming to like a group stretching class. And I mean, there's been group stretch classes done in the past, and I think like restorative stretching, or they call it deep stretch now. And so people have sometimes done those classes and don't feel as great of an effect. And so they come in a little bit skeptical. And this woman was one of those ladies. And she's probably her late 50s. And she went through the class, and I taught it just as I had learned it. This was, I was like fresh off the LifeStretch farm.
Yeah.
And afterwards, she sat up. We did the assessment. Always important to do that. That would be subject jumping here, but always have your clients do a before and after assessment. That is like, I can't tell you how important that is for them to buy into it. And then she ran through the class. We did it together. And then when she finished, she said, I didn't even know it was happening to me until I had finished. Like she said, it was almost like you don't know what's going on. Like something has happened. It's so subtle and it's so gentle that you don't really realize what's happening and what's changing and how much better you feel. And these are her words, until she kind of stood up and went through the motion at the end of the class. So
I'm going to put it out there. I think there's one word that I'm thinking of right now when you said she didn't even know what happened. You know why? I think in some ways, play. The word play. Anne says that when she teaches LifeStretch. She says, just play with the movement. She directs you, and you as an instructor will direct your clients. But when you say play, I don't know if you heard Brene Brown, is that her name? Brene, yeah.
Yep.
He talks about play, like when you have a child, you lose a sense of time. It's timelessness. You don't think about your problems. You're not thinking much of anything except you're in the moment playing. And I think LifeStretch does that. So if you're in some amount of pain or discomfort or stiffness, you kind of forget about that. Sorry, my cat's trying to come into the Zoom. My cat is Zoom booming me now. When you get people to play in class, so to speak, and explore and get into it, it's kind of like an art class or gardening or anything where you just lose a sense of time, or cooking or anything, and you're really enjoying it because you're not hurting yourself, especially when it comes to movement, right? We're not trying to hurt and push and kill ourselves. It's the opposite. That's fine. Go in another class and do that. In LifeStretch, you can undo that and restore and revive. And I think that's what we're talking about, the word play. We're playing in class.
Yeah, I don't think you could have said it really any better. And it's like as a dancer, or even as a yoga person, or anything that you do as an activity, when you kind of get into this rhythmic, like repetitive state, they call it like being in the zone or a moving meditation. But I think what at LifeStretch adds a little bit on top of that is it's like a moving meditation, but you are finding new things. You're discovering new things that need to be tended to while you're in that state of meditation.
Exactly.
So it's like a productive moving meditation.
Thank you for that. I'm going to share with everyone. I'm going to just share screen. So make sure this works, Susie. Let me know if it doesn't work. But I'm going to just share. And I'm just going to show everyone on YouTube. I have an hour plus LifeStretch class. I just put it up for anybody, the public. It's called Stretch Class for Everyone. Go to Stretch to Win Institute on YouTube. You'll find it there in the playlist. It's the, I don't know if it's the first video, it's in the top 3. Go there and try it out. Even do partial, do it if you don't have an hour. And this is what we're talking about. You need to experience it. And then, you know, we're talking about, so I'll just show you screen just 1 second here. Come off. I'll go to YouTube right there. Share the screen right there. There it is. Okay. So there's a LifeStretch class for everyone. Can you still hear me, Susie?
I sure can.
Yeah, so you can see that too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And that's all it is. LifeStretch stretch class for everyone. Right down here, Stretch to Win Institute. That's all I wanted you to do. So I'll stop the share. That's it. I want to thank you so much. Unless you have any other words of wisdom, but I think you've shared so much, and I've learned a bit about how you do your classes. Man, that sounds great.
Well, I would just say, in terms of getting into the virtual world, just don't be afraid to start. My first video was far from perfect. So if you're thinking about doing that, just go for it. Like, I didn't even have a mic or anything. I just started with my iPhone. We were fortunate to have a tripod, but here's I don't know if you can kind of see my setup. There's like my little tripod, and then I've got my space over here where my yoga mat is. So you just have to carve out a small space. It does not have to be perfect, and just get going, because then as you do each and every video, it's going to get better and better and better. And also, I know sometimes being on camera can be intimidating, and it can be a little bit scary. I know I was afraid, but you just kind of have to just do it. And then you get more and more comfortable with it. So, and you can add things as you go. So,
well, thanks so much, Susie. Can you tell the listeners if they want to train with you, where do they go?
Sure. So if you want to check it out, you can go to my NamaStream site. I actually do not have the link memorized. So what I can do is send it to you, and you can post it in the comments below. Or you can just go to Dallas Stretch for Life, and it's FOUR. And there's a link to my NamaStream site if you want to sign up for virtual classes. Or when my table work, when I can start doing fascial stretch, come see me in Dallas in my practice.
This was talking about LifeStretch with Susie Burkybile in Dallas, Texas. This is Chris Frederick from Stretch to Win Institute. Hope to see you on the other side in a LifeStretch class or teaching along with us. Take care now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.